What check-in exactly means? In order to answer this question, we need to get a little bit of context. In April, the LCPs and MC, also known as MOP, have met in Prague to discuss and to define what is actually the purpose of the generation that we are all living in. And for this, we have studied our context already, what we are facing right now, and we have defined that we are actually the first generation to deliver the ISEC 2020, our midterm ambition as ISEC Czech Republic. And the purpose that we have defined for our generation sounds exactly like that. We build on the legacy of our predecessors in order to create an ISEC for the Czech Republic. And there are two things that are important there. First is that we are, even though we are the first generation to deliver the 2020, there was a generation before us who actually made those things happen, who built all the fundaments for us to actually start implementing the things towards 2020. And then there is the ISEC for the Czech Republic, which is exactly the first step that we will make in order to deliver the 2020 midterm ambition. And this is the first part of the check-in, because building an ISEC for the Czech Republic is exactly the way how we are checking in for 2020. This is the first step, the first contribution that we are bringing towards the long-term midterm ambition that we have. But there is more to it, because then we were discussing with the MOP also what kind of behaviors we need, what kind of members we need in order to drive this kind of purpose, in order to drive this kind of ambition that we set. We have talked about the members such as that we need, the members with progressive thinking, the behaviors like members making things happen, the purposeful members, the responsible ones. So the members who will be driven, who are able to be driven by this kind of ambition and who will make things happen on themselves. And this is the second part of being generation check-in, because it also can be interpreted as Czechs are in. Czechs are doing things right now, and Czechs are actually going with the flow. Czechs are jumping into this bandwagon. So just to sum it up, check-in means first of all that we are the generation that checks in for 2020. We are the first one to deliver it, and then we are actually Czechs that are in and that are driving this kind of ambition.
He actually doesn't. EXPA keeps collecting all the information about the EPs, and they can go for internship on the same profile more times. If you have problems with any particular EP, you can directly approach me and we can solve it.
You wanna find out, you're curious? Well then, come to FallCo and you get to meet the chair.
It's because our planning model is built on that we are planning for 1.5 years. What does it mean for us? For 1.5 years, we are building the vision of our entity. For 1 year, we are creating the strategies which will help us to reach the vision. And we are also defining the numbers which we want to achieve in our exchange areas. And for a half year, for 6 months, we are creating the action plan how to reach those numbers and how to deliver our peaks. That's why we need to have planning every 6 months. That we are still updating our action plan for the next 6 months, and that we are still keeping updated the vision, the direction and the strategies.
So, Lead is here to facilitate the leadership development in every experience we provide. And it's very important for you to think about the methods, because it's not about biodanza. We have different methods we can use. For example, conferences or mentoring, or also virtual spaces. And don't forget that LDM is not only about the qualities, but it's also about the standards and satisfactions, and then also about the inner and outer journey. And for more information, you can also check out the ISEC Hub, so you will find the link below.
You can. If you are applying for position in Opportunity Portal, you need to fill the LDM assessment, and then in the end of your term, you need to fill it again, so you see what is your progress.
So one thing that should be cleared out is that the OD or the growth model is not just a strategic thing for the VPs. It involve the whole LC. When educating your members, what do they need to know? They need to understand the cluster that the LC is in, the cluster definition, what it means to actually be in that LC. And they also need education on what they need to do in order to jump to the next cluster. They need to also understand the specific program tiers and what it involves in the tiers, what they need to do in the specific functional areas. The third thing is the alignment with back office support. So finance, marketing, communication, all those things. And that is what you educate when you're trying to give education with regards to growth model. The why, the how, and the what.
My father told me.
Who will be the next MCP? I think it's going to be Ilya.
Going to be next MCP, I think definitely it will be Mishka because of her leadership.
Definitely FallCo.
Who's gonna be the next MCP? Bajal.